Ladies and gentlemen, many of you might remember watching the video on the exchange between Jim Acosta and Trump. And after that happened, Trump had his press credentials taken away and he was barred from coming back to the White House. Well, CNN took it to court and they were able to temporarily get his correspondence credentials back. So look like he will be able to return back to doing his job at the White House. So judge rules in favor of CNN temporarily restores correspondence credentials. A federal judge in Washington ruled Friday in favor of CNN in a decision that represents the first legal blows between Trump and the news media. And let me tell you why. And actually, so you can understand this. If somebody tries to stifle your voice, ladies and gentlemen, if they try to shut you down, like they do a lot here on YouTube, when you go into a court of law, they can't look you in the face and say, well, these folks have freedom of speech and these folks over here don't. They can't do that to you. So when you go into a court of law, your freedom of speech must be upheld. They have to uphold your freedom of speech, ladies and gentlemen. They can't deny you. See, this is why I want to encourage any YouTuber, especially if you get your channel taken away because some trolls flagged you, just like I did, go to court. In court, they can't stifle your voice. You know, they like to play that stuff. Oh, well, we got freedom of speech, but you know, y'all can't say what you want. Yes, you can. Yes, you can, ladies and gentlemen. As long as you are not threatening anybody's life, you are not telling people to go out and cuss folks out and kill people and beat them up, then yes, you have freedom of speech. And the courts will uphold your freedom of speech. They have to. So when Trump cut Jim Acosta off and threw him out and tried to bar him, then that goes after the First Amendment, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why you cannot be afraid to fight people when they try to stifle your voice or say, oh, well, you don't have the right to say this and that's hate speech and you can't do that. They have no right to do that to you because under the First Amendment, that's going to be upheld in court, whether that person that think you shouldn't say what you want, like it or not. And it will get into that as we get into the article. I promise you it will, because that's what Trump tried to do. He tried to stifle CNN and stop them from having a voice up at the White House. That is never going to be upheld anywhere in this country. Just like if somebody denied you on YouTube to say what you want to say and you took that to court, they would never beat you on that. So just look at these things as good examples. You may not be the press, but you are still entitled to freedom of speech under the law, and no one can deny you that. So, Judge Timothy Kelly, a Trump appointee, ordered the White House to restore correspondent Jim Acosta's press credentials. Each day, Acosta, is deprived, suffers a harm that cannot be remedied in retrospect, Kelly said. This is not the end of the road in this fight. The judge told attorneys for the Trump administration that the White House has to establish standardized rules to justify taking away a pass to cover the White House and want to hear from both sides again. This was also granted in a limited basis and was not on First Amendment grounds, but the Fifth Amendment right to due process. The judge said the White House denied Acosta right to due process under the law. Whatever process occurred is shrouded in mystery, Kelly said. I want to talk all of my colleagues in the press who supported us this week. Acosta said outside the DC courtroom, he thanked the judge for the decision he made. Let's get back to work. CNN attorney. All right. So he said the attorney is saying it's a great day for the First Amendment and for journalism, although the First Amendment was not applied. But technically it was. And this is why his attorney is saying that. Because when Trump removed him from the White House, he also silenced Jim Acosta's voice, which he had no right to do that. He had no right to do that. So that's why his attorney is saying that. All right, now let's get back to this. It's very possible the White House dropped the case and instead comes up with some level of varying standards that could again be challenged by the press and court. The next steps remain to be seen. The lawsuit follows the Trump administration decision last week to withdraw White House press credentials from Acosta after he and the president had a very testy exchange during a news conference on November 7th. The suit sought the immediate restoration of Acosta's press pass, arguing on First Amendment grounds that the White House action was aimed at silencing the journalists. CNN has joined by other news media organizations who saw high stakes in the case that could succeed a degree of editorial control to the White House and threaten the ability of free press to be a check on presidential power. The Trump administration argued that the president has broad discretion to strip any reporter of White House press credentials if he wishes. It argued that the standard should be whether the reporter was disorderly, rude, or grandstanding. Yeah, but see, none of those things are really crime. Even somebody being rude is not a crime. Okay? It just probably means the person don't have too many morals, but that's not a crime. None of those things the White House listed is a crime, and they would never be able to get rid of Jim Acosta for none of those reasons. CNN's lawyers argue that sometimes democracy is unpleasant, but having a free press is one of the ways democracies hold governments accountable. Boy, I could take this in so many directions, but I won't. Under questioning from the judge in arguments Wednesday, Deputy Assistant Attorney General James Burham, who made the case for the administration, conceded that he knew of no other case in which a president had revoked a reporter's White House credentials. Exactly. Well, you know, Trump is very unconventional. Kelly noted that there have been plenty of contentious, unrelenting journalists covering presidents through the years, and none had been stripped of their ability to cover the White House. Exactly. See, I knew as soon as he stripped his press credentials and they came up with the reason of him I guess, shoving an intern or some crap they came up with that wasn't even on a videotape. And the fact that they were trying to silence this journalist, I knew they weren't going to win in court. See, this is why back in July, when I came back onto my channel, I was telling you guys, in a court of law, okay, even for Black people, in a court of law, they're going to uphold your freedom of speech. It doesn't matter if somebody else think you shouldn't have it. By law, you can have it. They can't strip you of that. And that's why I knew as soon as CNN said they were going to go to court and take the White House to court, I knew they were going to win this. Just from my own experience, I knew they were going to win and the White House would lose. So as you can see, CNN is, they got their, Jim Acosta got his credentials back and looked like he can go back to doing his job. You know, it doesn't matter. And I'm not surprised that most of the press corps were behind CNN on this, because they would have to be, y'all. Because if CNN goes down, then it leaves all of the press corps to be barred from the White House anytime Trump has a bad day. So they would have to stand with CNN on this, like they did. So please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.